Well, hi and welcome to Jim's Radio Shop, where I'm continuing with the Philco PT-10 here. And after a massive struggle with the string, which I seem to have surmounted almost 100%, I'm sorry to say that the thing stuck a little bit earlier, and I don't even want to I don't even want to try it. I've seen enough of that, so I'm leaving that aside. What I'm going to deal with now is this hump, which I imagine you can hear that hum. It doesn't respond to the volume. There's no question it's a power supply hum. So we're going to go after that. We're going to go after that guy here. And that's a pretty straightforward thing, which anybody who does this kind of work does. It's an everyday repair. Let's see. So I've had my nose in the back of this radio a little bit, but not an awful lot. And I think I concluded this guy is a replacement. You can see the band holding it here is not original. So he's a replacement, but I'm sure he's the cause of the humming. Hey, something just leaped out at me. It's the second radio that's throwing stuff at me. It looks like a piece of the speaker cone that I probably knocked loose when I was fixing that. So there are some other parts worthy of suspicion. All these old capacitors. They don't look that bad, actually. And the set is rather clean. It's been well taken care of. So I think we just got to fix this guy. So let's get him out of there. Now, let me look and just think about where the capacitors are going to go. And I'm going to put in a couple of fairly small capacitors here. A couple of these guys, probably. Unless I'm surprised by the size of what's in there. Which well, I guess maybe they're repeating this a bunch of times. 20 plus 20. Red is 20, red is 20. These are red? Well, they sure don't look red to me. And I guess that's a general truth about these old guys. Their colors of things change, especially if they're hot. Like resistor color bands and other things change. And pretty easy to be fooled by it. So these little guys are going to replace this thing. They can fit pretty well anywhere. So let's see, the ground wire goes here, and the other ones are going here and here. So can we make it all that way? It's a little tight for the second connection. It's a little too far. The first one, anywhere along here, it's all the same connection. Now let's see. Now this one here, it may have a wire that goes somewhere else, and I don't have to connect right to that spot. I can connect anywhere that wire goes. Oh, sorry about that. That's a shame on me. I keep dropping my light down into your view. So let's do one thing here. I'm sure there's no voltage left in it, but let's just be absolutely sure. Why not? $5 volts. Okay, so that's discharged. Now another alternative would be to preserve this black wire and use it as a lead to bring the two capacitors a little further over and have their own leads attached to these two spots. Hey, this is a bit of an awkward spot to get to. I don't like that. I'm trying to trace where the wires are traveling. having the most luck here. Wires, where the wires are traveling from here. I'm looking for a better terminal to connect to. And I don't think there's any wires traveling from there. Oh yeah. Now where's it go? It comes up, kind of disappears in behind here. Here, let's get this big capacitor out of here. Let's get him out. Be hard on a tube over there. They're tipping this thing. And there he is. Get this band right out of here because big hunk of metal flopping around in there is not a good idea. Let's get rid of it here. Put that in my little pile of junk parts there. Now another alternative here is I can cut this wire and attach it to the now why don't we do it with both these? They're relatively flexible still. And I can mount these capacitors solid onto here. Well, that'll give them some positional, we'll fix them in place so they don't flop around, and I can attach these wires. I can bring them up very close to the capacitor, and that should be good. You got to think ahead a little bit, or else you'll end up putting the new components in a position where they actually can't go, or you'll be making work for yourself. I'm pretty good at doing that. Unnecessary work. So we'll see if we can pull that off this terminal here. Chances are it's not soldered too well. Let's see. I say that because it's a replacement part. Sometimes the workmanship isn't as good as it could have been. I have to eat my words on this one. Okay, so I've got a wire here that needs to be replaced because the insulation's just shot. So let me fetch a bit of wire. And it's a black wire, so I think we'll stick with black. Let's see, this is a stranded wire, but it should be okay. I don't watch a lot of TV. I'm watching a lot of YouTube these days, but not much TV. But okay, just like everybody else, I got hooked on Breaking Bad. So I will commit an hour to that show. I don't think that desoldered. I think that pulled off. It broke. Oh, yikes. What's all that sizzling there? I think I touched the side of the capacitor. That's a messy situation in there. tin this wire before I attempt to install it. Don't always have to tin wire. Sometimes there's a payoff. I think there might be in this case. Especially since it's stranded and I'm going to be fishing it around a terminal. That I can barely see, so there's a good chance that strands are going to wander, end up where I don't want them. Since this is coming right off the power line, probably a good idea to get it right. Kind of surprising, a lot of these radios just have no fuses. I mean, very, very few little radios like this have a fuse. I'm sure I've seen radios with asbestos in them, but no fuse, so you gotta kind of wonder why. We're ready for the radio to burn. Of course, fuse doesn't guarantee the radio won't burn. What's behind there? Big hunk of solder or wire or something is in behind the lug. You can't really see it. I'm just trying melting the whole thing down. Oh, that's good. Wire's nice and solid when its solder is frozen, but as soon as I melted the solder, the wire returned to being a weak stranded wire here. That's a good reason why solid wire is preferred. Just happen to grab this one. Okay, you come down this way. There is something in behind there. Probably leftovers from the other wire. Look at that thing. I guess when you're doing restoration, stuff like that doesn't worry you, but when you're doing repair work, those are all problems you just don't want to have. Running into bad wires. That's a terrible job there. I need a lot more solder. There we go. Try and run the wire the same way the original went. I didn't tin that end yet. Okay, I gotta move another wire here. This one feels okay though. That's kind of how it goes. One wire leads to another. And another thing. Being real sure you're cutting one wire and not three at once. Which is a mistake I have made. Because you don't see what you can't see. So I kind of fish that under there. Another thing I like to do when I'm doing these jobs, because this isn't again, it's just repair, is when I cut a component out, I like to leave the wire tails, because I have cut something cleanly off, looked away from the radio, looked back, and for the life of me, I cannot be sure where it came from. You know, I don't know if that's the that's my brain deteriorating, or as I suspect it happens to everybody. Now, that would be nice if I could just get it to soldered in there like that. I also don't want to make the bare part of the wire too long. And that starts becoming a problem. Okay, slide on there. I don't like that. My tool shooting in the radio like that. That's not good. Good. Get that with some solder. Another thing I generally do is I inspect everything. Oh, yeah. I inspect everything with a magnifying glass after I do it. My eyes aren't what they used to be. And only on really close inspection can you see stuff, and it's very, very valuable to have a very powerful magnifying glass. Now mine is the lens out of something, and I don't know what anymore. Okay. Stay put. Did I succeed? Success. Okay, so just about put my fingers through the speaker cone, so that's how easy that can happen. Shame on me, I should really cover it. I'll be doing another speaker cone repair. But let's live dangerously here. See, that insulation's cracking up here where it's been heated up. It's nice here. It's cracking up in this area. Take a little closer look now. My camera stopped, and I'm not sure if you saw this or not, but I turned this capacitor a little bit, and when I did, the end of it popped off. There's the end of it right there. It just popped right out. So this guy's got to go, and as I was looking at the connection, sorry, let me hold this just right. I discovered that this wire is cold soldered onto there. So it's kind of like one thing after. So we're going to that's the power cord. So that's whoever put the power cord on did a cold solder joint to that location there. Must have been good enough though. I was playing the radio. I think we'll fix that up. And what we'll do is, lots of wire here. We'll find my cutters. We'll cut it off. So I can cut right through there. There he is. We'll cut that big hunk of useless solder off of there. What is all that? That's probably wax from this thing here, but it looks like resin. That's what it looks like to me. I think I soaked this with resin and then failed to solder it. That's kind of weird. Let's see if I can get this guy off easy. It doesn't look easy. Oh yeah, right off. Now I got a nice, clean, open connection. Let's tin this guy. You know, if this was my radio, it's going to be in my collection, and I would take one approach. But I'm going to be giving this back to the owner. I say, where did that come from? It came out of my tool here. Never had that come off before. Okay. And, you know, I can only assume that the owner is not knowledgeable. I don't know the owner, actually. So I just assume he's not knowledgeable, and if left to his own devices, he might somehow stress the radio. I don't know how. Wiggle the cord. I don't know. Who knows? And if I don't do things with a certain amount of ruggedness, I'm kind of doing a disservice to them. Especially when it comes to the power cord, which of course gets mechanically moved. And if you're doing this kind of work, it doesn't have to be on radios, it can be on almost anything. Typical problems are mechanical. From motion, bending, twisting, heating, cooling, expanding, all that stuff. Electronic failure is kind of second on the road. Okay, so let's... I didn't tin that very well. Now I got frayed wire to deal with there. Doesn't look very good. That looks a little bit better. Nope, that didn't take. How about the capacitor? He's on good. Not a mistake. Okay, let's try that again. Meanwhile, I'm heating up this big resistor here that I don't want to do damage to. That looks better. Still looks a little messy, but that's got it. Yeah. Whoop. That went that away. That's okay. So there's the wire I just changed. Isn't that a piece of junk? Now here's where this capacitor connects. Now see, remember I mentioned about leaving the leads out there, so I've left the lead out. And what that allows me to do, first of all, I'm making a smaller solder joint onto the wire. And I'm leaving the other connection alone, which is kind of, in this radio, jammed in there. And a lot of them, it's jammed in there. And on a restoration, that's not an issue because you're going to rip everything apart, but on a repair, you're literally trying to do the least, the reasonable least to the radio. And now we want to attach, hey, we're back to what we're really here for, which is to put these filter capacitors on. And you know what? I don't have a clock in my shop right now. Okay, I think that's going to work okay. Let's solder it up. There we go. Now where is my magnifying glass? Not this one. My big one. Actually, it's small. But it's big and powerful. What I'm is this here. Okay. Trim this off. Capacitor. So chances are that capacitor was bad. Not necessarily, but if I was going to bet, I'd say can't take a little bit of twisting. So we got our new guy in there, 0.04. Now we're going to connect up these wires here. Doesn't matter which one goes to which. Let's tin them because they're stranded too. I mentioned the clock because I don't want to miss Breaking Bad. Okay, so let's put this guy. Ouch. Let's put him on here. I'm going to install him pretty close to the capacitor. Oh, talking about the capacitor. What did it say on it? CT 2x20, black is common, 20 plus 20, red plus 20, red plus 20. Oh, it's kind of repeating itself a few times in there. would have been smarter if they repeated it around the body of it, so it was always visible, no matter how it was installed. But that's not what they did. I don't think I'm going to ask them. Go. They leave the long wire out here. It helps cool off the connection a bit right after the soldering is done. Let's get rid of it now, though. There we go. That should work. My magnifier. What can I do with it? And this one's not, it's just not as powerful as what I really need to really see well. It's definitely soldered on there. Get rid of this excess wire. And get rid of this excess wire. Push that back. Look at that. There we go. Happy day. Wire capacitor, small capacitor, two bigger capacitors. Let's listen to it. I got a date with my television. Okay, I'm gonna flip on the power here. .122 volts tonight. Flip it on. Watch how bright this light goes here. Wow. Yeah. You really need that light in these radios. Let it take the punishment. They are dirt cheap. It keeps the punishment away from the radio. Which is exactly what they're designed to do. Usually when the plate current gets going, the bulb will lighten up again a little more. Maybe not this guy. Well, I don't hear any hum, but I do hear a buzz. There he is. Do I risk tuning this guy? After all that, let's try it. Here we go. Okay, it always works this way. I mean the dial string in that. That sounds like shorting capacitor.
Okay, let's see what's going on with the capacitor here, the tuning capacitor. Right there. Okay, it's right on the edge. And what I like to do now, I like to take a pencil. It's the lighting here. I have to use a pencil eraser, and I just run it along these. Very suspicious of the outside ones, always. That's where our problem is, over here. Frankly, I think I can see it. So, unless I'm mistaken, that's the oscillator. Let's... maybe not. It's up in here. I think I can see one that's in contact. Okay, so my camera stopped again, so I don't know if you saw that I had success. So I'll wind this thing back. There we go. No more clicking. It's a pretty oily mess in there too, so some previous person's really hosed it down with lubricant. So, I wish I could check a clock easy here. I think it might be time for me to stop at this point. And the next thing we'll be doing is a tune-up, an alignment. It's just a couple things to align, not too much. Without the proper antenna, it's a little tricky to do. But at least I can align the IF, which is probably fine. And oh, here's another one. We'll see if we can get this guy receiving a little better. So thanks a lot for watching. Another step along the way with the Philips PT-10. I expected this to be a 15-minute radio, and I think I got about 6 hours into it. Well, maybe not 6, but more than I really want to admit. So until next time, we'll see ya.